my name is Brennan Peacock, Access ID EA9556. I'm working with Group 3 and we're presenting on case number 11, which is on Henry and his family. My sister will be playing the role of Mrs. A, so I'm doing an individual therapy session. I will start with some background information on the presenting problem before leading into the therapy session, so we'll get started. The presenting problem with the family is the intergenerational patterns of relationships within the family. Mrs. A is Guatemalan and Mr. A is Mexican descent. One of the main existing issues is the competition for the mother's attention that Henry and his father both fight for. Mrs. A has gained a sense of abandonment and rejection as she was passed off to an aunt by her biological parents and then raised by her grandparents. Before her son was born, she also suffered the loss of a child, a daughter who was stillborn. Mrs. A has formed a very tight attachment with Henry, often dismissing her husband's rule of thumb, of which she believes to be too strict. Also, Henry has gained a sense of fear and anxiety in terms of leaving his mother's side, as she has raised him to believe he cannot cope or manage without her support, and that she cannot do the same without his need to always be around her. Henry and his father often battle for Mrs. A's love and attention. The competition becomes more severe when Mrs. A is the least bit emotionally available. The marriage is suffering due to the fact that there are boundary issues, specifically in terms of Mrs. A and Henry's relationship. There is a dire need for strengthening support, appropriate and necessary parenting roles, along with both parents to be able to develop a strong and appropriate relationship with their son. Henry and his mother initially presented to therapy due to the bullying that Henry is facing at school, while reporting that he informs the teachers of this occurrence, but they lack in response and intervention. Henry reports he's experiencing constant stomach aches, while his mother reports this has started since he began school. Not only is he experiencing stomach aches, he is also disengaging from school. We have started the intervention process for integrating the family and school in terms of addressing and handling the bullying at school. So during our middle stages of work during this session, I'm meeting with Mrs. A today to focus on the marital conflict she's experiencing with her husband. So our main focus is going to be on their communication style, as well as spending some more one-on-one time together to focus on their strengths as a couple and parents, to try and help bring them in as a parental unit and have a better relationship as a couple, and to be able to co-parent effectively with Henry. So we will begin with the session. Hello, Mrs. A. How have you been doing since our last session together?
I'm good. We are working more with the school in terms of the bullying that Henry has been facing. He has had more one-on-one time with his teachers, and they do have a peer support group that he has been going to, which seems to be helping him to become more part of the school environment.
That's great. I know it will take some time, but I'm glad that you guys have started to work with the school and Henry in terms of helping him to deal with the bullying. Like we had gone over before, it's important for you guys as a family to become one with the school in terms of addressing this issue.
Yes, I agree. They have been collaborative and have provided us with assistance. He seems to talk less about the bullying.
That's good. That's good. I mean, I'm glad that it sounds like you guys are kind of getting a handle on it. But how are things going with you and your husband?
They're okay. He doesn't work so much with the schools with me. It's more so me than both of us going to meetings and handling the situation.
Really? Why do you think he doesn't want to be much a part of it?
I don't know. I can't seem to understand. He still gets upset with me when I make certain decisions, especially when it comes to Henry.
You know, I think one thing you two really need to work on as a couple is your communication style. It's important in a relationship to be able to communicate and express your needs to one another, especially when it comes to raising your kids.
I know. Whenever he says something to me, like when he gets upset, I don't really say anything because I want to avoid any more fighting.
Yeah, it seems to me like you two have different views when it comes to Henry's needs and what you both think that he needs. There seems to be some boundary issues as well between you and Mr. A and you and Henry, and this can confuse your son as well.
I know. I just want the best for Henry, and sometimes I just make a decision and act immediately because I know it's best for Henry.
When you say you know it's best for Henry, do you think that Mr. A does not?
I only say it because I am his mother. I feel like mothers always know best.
Yes, motherly instincts are very strong. However, I think one thing that could be hindering your relationship is the fact that Mr. A possibly feels like he's not being included in the decision-making because you act so quickly. You know, I understand what it's like to feel as though you know what's best for your kids, of course, especially as a mother, and want to jump on a decision.
I know, but I just feel like he can be so strict and hard on Henry, and Henry's still young and going through a hard time, especially with the bullying at school.
I know. You know, you're all going through a hard time on this. But it's important for you guys to come together as a family. You know, it's important for you and Mr. A to come together as parents for the benefit of Henry. You know, you may not like the way that Mr. A makes a decision, or, I know you mentioned that you feel like he's very strict, but this is where it's important for you two to come together and discuss ways in which you can resolve this conflict between you two and be effective parents. How much time do you and Mr. A spend together, just the two of you?
Barely ever. He's always working, and when he comes home from work, he wants to be alone.
I see. I know you said that he does work a lot. Well, would you like to spend more quality time with your husband, or are you content, kind of being separated from one another?
Yes, I think we need to. I just don't know how to say that to him because I'm scared he'll get upset with me. If he's willing to come in next week, would you maybe tell him that?
Well, I think it means more, and it's important coming from you. He may not feel as though it's as serious of a need if he hears it from me. You can gently put the idea out on the table. It's not like you're forcing him to do anything. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. I don't know how he will respond, but I hope he is willing.
I don't think it hurts to try. I think you two need to recognize and focus on your strengths as a couple and also as parents. It can help you guys come together. If you aren't able to pull on your own strengths as individuals and as a couple, it's going to be harder for you guys to effectively parent Henry and show that love and support that you have for Henry as well as each other as his parents. It's important for him to see that too. He wants to see the strength and love and support between the two of you.
I agree. I love my husband, and I do want to be able to make decisions with him regarding Henry and his needs.
I agree. It will help Henry to feel the love and support in a stronger sense. Kids respond to what's going on in their environment. We all respond to what's going on in our environment. So, if he sees a disconnection between you and your husband, that has a strong impact on him. And it could also be a contributing factor as to why he's so disengaged in school.
You think? I never thought about me and my husband's marriage problems having an impact on him in school.
Yeah, especially as he gets older and is trying to find himself. What goes on in our environment can impact us in different types of ways. Every individual responds differently, and especially kids, they're vulnerable, and especially as they get older, he's approaching the, middle school age, so he's trying to find himself, and that carries great weight.
Well, then I definitely want to begin really working on things with my husband because I can't stand to see Henry like this. He's just seemed very sad these past few months.
Well, I know that Mr. A does not always choose to be part of the family therapy, but what we could also do is suggest more couple therapy with you two, and we can focus on your needs as a couple.
Will we still be working with Henry as well?
Yes, of course. This way we can work on Henry's needs as well as yours and Mr. A's needs as a couple.
Okay, thank you so much for everything you're doing for us.
It's my pleasure. I just feel like it's important to work on your marriage so Henry will respond better to his environment and that you and Mr. A can function better as parents and as a couple. There needs to be boundaries set so that Henry can feel your love and support, and so can Mr. A. He may be feeling like you're choosing Henry's needs over his, because it sounds to me that you're pretty quick to jump with regard to Henry, but kind of lack in the response to, Mr. A's needs.
I never really thought about it like that. I do love my husband, but I'm still worried about Henry all the time, especially since he's been having such a hard time at school.
I know. It's normal to be worried about him, especially since he's been bullied and isn't responding well in school, but what is important is to not let that worry take over your life too much. It sounds like it may be so regarding the parenting for Henry, and I know that can be really hard, especially as a mother and wanting to care for our children, but if you let it take over too much, it's going to hinder in the way you respond to other significant people in your life, such as your husband.
I know.
So what I want you to do, if you're willing to or you're comfortable to, is to talk with your husband about spending some more time together as a couple. I think this may be something that could really help you guys, and you can do, even if you spend a couple hours, at home, just the two of you, having connecting on a conversation base, or, going out and doing something fun together, just something where you guys can, spend more quality time and kind of nurture your relationship. And after that, we can continue to consider therapy as a couple. Does this sound good to you?
Yes, it does. I just hope he responds well.
Well, try not to anticipate it too much before you suggest the idea. Again, you're not forcing him to do anything, but you are reaching out, and this may be something that he needs to feel.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. So let me look at my calendar. Okay, how about we meet in about 2 weeks from now so you can have some time to speak with Mr. A and get a feel for how he feels about those ideas.
Okay, that sounds good.
And if you need anything at all before then, please do not hesitate to call because we can schedule you to come in sooner if there's a need, okay?
Okay, thank you. I will see you soon.
Okay, and we'll also schedule a session with Henry too, and maybe we can aim for a family session. Okay? I'll see you in a few weeks, Mrs. A.